One of the really interesting things about the e-commerce landscape right now is that there's a lot of people doing iterations on how people should buy. People are doing sliders, and there's a lot of colour and there's a lot of flavour in this industry, which is really good to see. The one thing we've learned, though, is that it is down to that absolute simplicity. While there may be some really cool kind of gamification things happening in the e-commerce world, at the end of the day, someone who wants to buy something just wants to buy something. They don't necessarily want to go through a rigmarole of haggling with someone or doing a slider and seeing how that happens. So what we did is we just simplified everything down, and we learnt a lot from our consumers about what really they want. And we learned that they want to say, this is what I want to buy, and they want to be able to buy for a little bit cheaper. So that's the way at the moment we think we're winning in our industry, is that by simplifying everything and just focusing on that core end element, which is what the consumer wants. In the future, as we move forward, we have to continue that learning process, and all our customers get in touch with us in some way or form. Either they leave a really nice positive review, or they say, actually, this could have been done a tiny bit better. And we have a team working on that to make sure that those comments are taken and we can just improve from that. So really listening to our customers is the best way of improving. We've had a lot of success at the moment in toys and also in books, which is really quite exciting for us. But the really cool thing about our model is that we can actually drive success from what the consumer wants to buy. So because we accept a demand, it's ultimately a consumer saying to us, this is what I want to buy. And the more focus we see and the more changes in that, we can then focus our marketing efforts to say, we understand the market is wanting to buy this at the moment from this core section of our users. Let's push some marketing budget out into this area and bring in some more people, because obviously we've got an attractive proposition to that vertical. So for us, that's really quite key. The great thing about Flubit is the actual replication isn't so quick. We have 14 developers right now. We've invested heavily into the technology side. With a daily deals site, and whilst I'm not putting down the proposition because it definitely has a market, the daily deals site is very much like put up a website, find a merchant, make a sale. With us, from all you have to do is put a link in and you can get a better offer on a product you want. There's so much technology that happens in there to make sure we understand exactly what you're going to pay, what the service was going to be like for you, exactly what that real world product is like. That is our core IP. So it's not like someone can tomorrow just start up another Flubit and make it scalable. So that's really important that we've done that. We've put that barrier to entry there that other startups, won't be able to easily follow on from us. You mentioned mobile. It's a really interesting debate, and I've had this debate with our current investors and our future investors. But the interesting thing about e-commerce is that 90% of e-commerce still happens on a desktop or a tablet. So we're focused solely on that area. We will iterate into mobile further down the line, because obviously the market is going there and it's a very important thing. But we generally just said, let's focus where the money is. My initial idea for Flubit was different to what we are today. It did involve groups, and we've iterated from them. And we knew within 2 to 3 months of putting this out to the market that what the proposition we had originally just really wasn't working so well. But what we could see is this little nugget of information, this little metric, which was saying that if you take away that group factor, the consumer and the merchant actually quite like it. So we did this little beta test, and we found that our conversion rate went from something like 2% up to 30-40%, and the average in e-commerce is 3 to 5%. So we suddenly had this massive increase in conversion, and that there was our almost at failure point, turning it into a really interesting product that could be very successful. And the great thing about our team was that despite them having built a new product to kind of try and iterate the older product for 3 or 4 months, they were happy just to go, right, well, I say happy, they were willing to say, right, we've seen this little nugget of information, let's move forward with that. So the business model changed. It changed dramatically. But it changed because we learned from what we were seeing, not just because we learned from this could be a good idea. Your investors have invested into you not to see necessarily just a great product, but because they want to see a return on their money. So it's very important for me as CEO to understand that someone who's put money into my business wants to get a return on that. So I have to concentrate a lot on understanding that has to be a big part of our end game. At the same time with Flubit, what we want to do as kind of entrepreneurs and visionary is to create this almost ubiquitous product that allows you to do the impossible, which is to get a discount on something which isn't showing in the market at the moment. We actually create a unique price. That price doesn't exist anywhere else before, and then we send it to you private and personally. So my big focus is to make sure that I can succeed for the investors. But in doing so, the only way we're actually going to be able to do that is by creating something which doesn't just iterate the market, it completely revolutionizes the market. Flubit's vision and Flubit's future is about being this ubiquitous presence to the consumer that allows them to, whenever they want, to get a discount or a lower price on the product that they want to buy. And that's something which I think is pretty cool and pretty out there to suggest that it doesn't matter what you want to buy, we can do a better deal for you than that's already out there. And that offer that you're going to get doesn't actually exist at all. It's going to be this unique price, and it doesn't, and we're not asking you to have to go away and share it all with your friends and link up with other people that you don't know. It's actually just, you wanted it, here it is for you, and you've got some hours to buy it if you want it. Taking aside the exceptionally hard-working team and just looking at my hours, for example, I will get up at 6-ish, I'll be in the office by 6:30, 7 o'clock most days, and I'll be leaving at 9 p.m. at night. If I wasn't passionate about what I was doing, I think that would be incredibly hard to keep up. I love Monday to Fridays, they're fantastic, and then I also like Saturdays and Sundays because generally I'm doing the same thing there as well. And you make a lot of sacrifices. You look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs, and apart from maybe the very smallest fraction, the reason they're there is because they sacrificed the hours hanging out with friends, they sacrificed going out and partying a lot for what they were passionate about. And it is that passion that keeps you going, and it's that future vision too. From my experience, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur or get to the point where you have the opportunity of being a successful entrepreneur, you have to take a risk. And my risk was leaving a company where I had a stable salary and it was growing, and go on to something where it could have, within 4 or 5 months, gone absolutely kaput. Even now, we take risks. We take risks with our cash flow to make sure that what we believe in and what we've learned, we can go from there. Also, it's about nothing is just going to come to you. It won't come to you. If you sit back and take 2-hour lunch breaks to go walk your dog or something like that, it's not gonna come to you. You need to be focused and moving forward.